morning, 8th graders. So glad you're here today to join us for a little art time. All right, so today we are going to talk about visual storytelling, integrating the arts into ELA. All right, for our warm up, look at this quilt, this beautiful quilt. It's by Faith Ringgold. And I want you to tell me, what story do you see? What do you see? Write it in the chat box. What do you see? All right, so take a couple minutes to write it in the chat box. What do you notice? What city are they in? Who's there? What do you notice? What do you notice about the patterns? What do you notice about the sky? What do you notice about the buildings? What do you notice about the people? What do you notice about the food on the table? The laundry hanging up? Do you notice how the bridge is going one way and the laundry is going the other way? Creates a sense of balance. Awesome. All right, so today, our agenda for today, we did our warm-up this morning. We're going to talk about expectations. We're also going to be talking about state standards, the I can statement, our art project. And then you're going to go into the breakout rooms and choose your lines for the activity in the breakout room. Okay. Oh, I just noticed I forgot to put the expectations. Oh my goodness. So the expectation is that you will attend class each session. You will participate, and then you will also encourage your fellow classmates. All right. So in ELA, we're focused on the following. By the end of Unit 1, students will be able to demonstrate understanding of the following. Engage effectively in a range of collaborative discussions, one-on-one, in groups, and teacher-led, with diverse partners on grade 8 topics, texts, and issues, building upon others' ideas and expressing their own clearly. Also, we're working on narratives. Write a narrative to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, relevant descriptive details, and well-structured event sequences. The I can statement, usually I get a student to read the I can statement, so I want you to go ahead and read along with me. I can create a visual representation of a poem. I can. Visual storytelling that uses still photography, illustration, or video, and can be enhanced with graphics, music, and voice. Visual storytelling. All right, so you may know from elementary school, and you'll certainly know this in high school art, there are elements of art. The elements of art are line, color, form, shape, space, texture, and pattern. All right, so the element of art that we're focused on today is called texture. Texture can be smooth, it can be rough like sandpaper or bark. It can be hard, it can be soft like cotton. It can be woven, bumpy, lumpy, jagged, irregular, and rigid. Texture. All right, so I want to introduce you to one of my favorite artists. Her name is Miss Faith Ringgold. She is a textile artist, textile meaning cloth. She works a lot with cloth and painting and making quilts. She is the artist who did the first quilt that we talked about in our warm-up. It's called Tar Beach 2. And she does a series of quilts, and she is also a children's book author. All right, so she did this beautiful beautiful quilt called Groovin' High, circa 1990, circa meaning it was made in 1996, by Miss Faith Ringgold. This is Groovin' High. So take a minute in the chat box to go ahead and write some thoughts. What story do you see in this visual image? What do you see in this artwork? What do you notice? Do you notice the pattern? And pattern can create texture. Look at the diagonals of the dance floor, and then you see the diagonals of the material around it. A father is dancing with his daughter. You see an older couple in the corner watching everybody having a good time, dancing, celebrating. You see patterns on dresses. You see the dancers looking at each other eye to eye. What do you notice? Drop it in the chat box. All right, so I want to talk to you about another quilt. A long time ago, before people had books, etc., and a lot of times women weren't able to go to school or learn to read. So families would share their stories through quilts, and it was passed on from generation to generation. And each generation would add a square or more to the quilt to share their family story. This is a quilt. It's called the AIDS quilt, and it was originally started in San Francisco. It was a quilt that has grown. It's still growing today. It is a quilt of people that were affected by AIDS, and it is a quilt of family members sharing the love of their family member, sharing their story with others through art. So here it is in Washington, D.C. You see the scale of the people, and you see how beautiful the quilt is and how large it is, how many stories, how many people have been affected by AIDS. So the families share the story of their loved ones. All right, so then we have a little snapshot, a closer image of the quilt. It's a visual memoir. Each section tells a story of a loved one. All right, then you have Miss Maya Angelou receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama in 2010. You see he's giving her a kiss on the cheek, and is a beautiful moment, Miss Maya Angelou. I think it is especially beautiful that she wrote so much about freedom, caged bird, etc., and she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. An inspiration to so many people. All right, so what I want you guys to do, you're going to do a community art project. You're going to do paper quilts. Each student will pick 1 to 2 lines from Miss Maya Angelou's poem called Caged Bird. You're going to create this paper quilt with the poetry lines. Keep in mind, texture is key. You can add texture through collage and adding found objects. Found objects means like recyclable objects around the house. For example, you might have a bottle cap or a coffee cup warmer. Like if you go to Starbucks, you have that little cardboard. You can tear the cardboard apart, use the texture of the cardboard, paint it, etc. If you have some clothes that may not fit you anymore, you can use the material from that, and you can actually sew it if you'd like, or layer it upon the paper. Layering is key with the texture. Um, so look around your house. You can also use, I like to use the insides of the almond, we drink almond milk, and I like the insides of the almond milk carton. You can cut those up, and also layer the silver on silver lining of the I'm really into silver linings lately. The silver lining of the almond carton. And then let's see, I had another thought and I totally blanked out on what it was. But found objects. Found objects. Keep those in mind. Oh, I remembered. Okay. My husband found a beautiful feather yesterday, and so I was like, "Oh, that's great," because I'm doing my project on caged bird, and so and sometimes when you find feathers and different objects, you're like, what lesson am I supposed to learn from this? So we looked up the meaning of the symbolism of feathers, and I thought that was really interesting. All right, so look around your house for found objects, found art. This is called found art. Then you're going to take a picture of your art and you're going to send it to your teacher. You're going to also send me a copy if you'd like. I would love that. All right, so here's Miss Maya Angelou's caged bird. I'm going to read it one more time for you guys, and then we'll go on to the other part of the art project. All right, Caged Bird by Miss Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare's scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. His tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So I want you to think about this poem, pick out a couple lines, pluck some lines from the poem, and then you're going to do a visual representation of those lines. And I'm hoping that everybody will have different images to portray those lines. Oh, I remember something else. If you have magazines and you'd like to make a collage via magazines, that's awesome too. Just remember to take a picture of your work. All right, so I picked the lines, but the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. So we have the dreams here. Miss Maya Angelou was also inspired by Dunbar when she wrote her poem. And then you can also include Langston Hughes' poem about dreams and include that in as an extension activity, fellow teachers. So with this, but the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. So I drew a grave, headstone, and then I drew dreams like a thinking cloud of dreams. And the bird standing on the grave of dreams. What does that mean? Drop it in the chat box for a few minutes, and then we'll move to our next slide. All right, the next one is his wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So I drew scissors, and this is called collage. For mine, I like to use just little like regular Scotch tape, Scotch tape. Uh, so you can wrap it around itself on the back and make a little sticky on the back of the cutout image. So then I can move them around how I'd like. You can always glue it later. This this way, if you move it around, it doesn't damage the image as much. So you want to just be careful not to glue until you're sure how you want to set things. All right, this one I'm still working on. It is the lines are his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. So I have the bird cage and I kind of wanted it to look a little bit like sharp claws, like grabbing. You see the bird, you see the shadow going chirp. So I did all my drawings with colored pencils as well. And then I have a whole bunch of origami papers, so I use that to help with the textures. You can use material or origami paper or draw patterns or use your magazine paper or newspaper for words. Feel free to be as creative. We want to encourage your creativity as much as possible. All right, for this breakout room activity, we're going to go ahead and set you up in breakout rooms now. You're going to go ahead and put your name on your breakout room activity paper. I want you to go ahead and read through Miss Maya Angelou's poem one more time. Pick the lines that you will visually represent through art and write them below. So go ahead and set the timer, fellow teachers, get that timer going for a few minutes in the breakout room. And then you can collect samples of your students' work from the breakout rooms, and that will show participation points as well. All right, moving on to the ticket out the door, share out things you learned about visual storytelling today in the chat box. So go ahead and drop it in the chat box, visual storytelling. What did you learn today? I hope you learned something today. I'm so glad you can join us. So I can't wait to see what you create. Looking forward to it. We're going to take your art and share it and build a community digital quilt, if you will. And so I thank you again for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful day. Do something kind for your families today. Take care.